Hello everyone, good morning. This is Fanny from PachaMamArt for a new chapter of the PachaMamArt Encyclopedia Volume 2, the disclosure book. So today we are talking about part 3, a kind of magic, and I'm presenting to you the literature classics. So a more joyful perspective today, introducing the modern classics, right, of literature, of our leaders, the humorists, the artists, the people who inspire us every day, mostly online. And it's like the food for the soul that inspires you every day, that alters your mindset and our moods. So it's not it's pretty significant. Okay, mostly that I'm really taking a new perspective on all these conflicts that are going on in the world. Apparently, war is an economy now. So when you look at, I just want to make a parenthesis, because as these things last for so many years, now you realize that in fact, the war in Ukraine is profitable for Europe. It created a whole economy. They're giving them loans, so they're paying us interest. They're selling weapons. So this is a whole fraud scam, that is, of course, there are people dying in the middle, but they don't care about those Ukrainians. They take pictures with them and shake hands, for the politically correct. But in fact, this is what pays for our unemployment money and our allocations and stuff like that. So if everyone is happy with that, so be it. So we just decide, every century that we're gonna kill some peace in the world and just make money out of them, just like what's going on in Palestine. They're killing all these people, but they're gonna rebuild something beautiful that's gonna be really good for the economy of Israel. So if that's cool, we can just, decide that we're gonna kill those people and we're gonna kill those people, and then everybody benefits from it. Or we can actually promote like the art business and literature and boost new artists and have art and beauty on the walls everywhere in the world and generate an economy from those things. So you decide. So I hope this book will help you redirect the course of the politics nowadays. So yeah, this is going to be a long video. It's a very long chapter, but once again, I'm only making those videos once. And when is the last time that you've read a whole encyclopedia? All the time you buy an encyclopedia or someone gives it to you and you look at a couple of pages and then it just sits on your shelf for years and you never really open it. So if you've been following an hour or 2 hours every day for 2 weeks, you get to actually know everything that's really been going on and get all this new knowledge. And for those who discovered thought, isn't it crazy when I told you that he's a time traveler? Isn't it crazy how the perfect timing of things, of the things I see published and the elementals that appear, or even last night I was recording a piece of my show that I watched, La Reina del Flow. I didn't pause it to record it. I was just watching. I'm like, I'm gonna just record a few minutes of it. And just that part that I started recording, that was just a summary of our entire life. So I thought that was funny. And once again, it's always divine intervention. It's never a coincidence. So once you start noticing all this magic, you're like, it makes you feel important because you're like guided by the gods. And if someone is watching you all the time, it's probably because you're doing something important and it makes you want to continue in that path. So you're gonna see in all those artists I'm presenting today that it was never easy for any of them. And sometimes maybe the road was made easy. You look at families like the Trump family, or, you know, people who their parents paved the way for them, and they just got the doors open magically, or their business suddenly took off, or, you know, for some people the road was made easier. So they can't really understand the struggle of those who try and try and try and try, and the resilience you have to continue even after you fail so many times. But once again, we're going to talk about mentorship and everything. So let's get to it right away. So this is our door for today. Literature classics. And just yesterday I had a lot of butterflies around me at the lake, so it was really cool. So Okay, so literature classic. Why am I doing all this? Of course, I'm competing for the Nobel Prize of Literature and for the Nobel Prize for a whole bunch of other people as well. So the Royal Swedish Academy of Letters, History and Antiquity. I can't imagine the knowledge that's in there. And those people last year, they were interviewing one of the Nobel Prize committee members, and he was saying that he just reads a lot every day. He has to read everything. So just imagine the knowledge in these people's brains. This is just fascinating, because this knowledge is alive. Like you could see with this one book that we're presenting, the things that open up around you once you connect with words and with authors, whether they're still alive or not. So this is why intellectuals often reach those high positions of power, because the words unlock pieces of your brain. They unlock things in your life because you connect to all these excellence skills, skills of mastery, of excellence, when you push through, whether it's words or it's aviation, technology, all these things. Okay, so this is my letter to the Royal Swedish Academy. Excellencies, I hope that this book was as passionating for you as it was for me to live and experience every moment of it. The pleasure in doing this is to offer people this light bulb moment when you can finally find another level of cooperation and communication between leaders all around the world and become a part of it. During the difficult times, this meant everything to me. And now it has become who I am. My entire life is dedicated to the people in this book and beyond. Of course, also to my son. This encyclopedia and this chapter in particular presents our nomination campaign for several Nobel Prizes, whether in science, economic science, or literature, medicine, and peace. So when I say science, I mean physics and chemistry, right? So the Academy's mission and priorities are to advance research and other activities in the humanities, religion, law, and the social science and cultural heritage management, to collaborate with Swedish public bodies and associations with similar scholarly aims and objectives. That's what we're doing internationally. To initiate and support international collaborations in those fields of interest, and thus to maintain ties with national academies and international learned societies. To publish a variety of scholarly publications in those fields of interest. I'm sorry, I cannot read those words. To confer grants and award upon leading researchers and others who have advanced those aims and objectives. The Academy, right? It's Academian is Academy. So Viterheads Academy, it's the Royal Academy of Letters and Science. To offer its expertise in the Academy's fields of interest at the request of government or public bodies when the Academy's interest so requires. So this was from their website, so I invite you to discover their website. And I think we're really doing this year. We're really doing collaboration, cooperation, international cooperation. I'm not going to read. I'm going to let you guys read. I just want to go straight to the people I'm presenting. Okay, one of the books I wanted to cheer for is Mariam Bukhar Hassan's A Poet's Attempt to Freeze Time. I really want to buy this book and read it. I don't know if it's available worldwide yet. It just came out, but I really love this woman. She's the United Nations Global Peace Advocate. She's very, very literate, articulate, smart. Her words are very, very powerful, and mostly when she reads it, because sometimes, you know, it's not the same when you read something on the book and when the author is actually reading it with their own voice, and just the charisma, the energy they have with it. And I think she really has that power to deliver her words in a powerful way. So, of course, my Encyclopedia, Billy Carson, who wrote The Tablets of Emerald, Woke Doesn't Mean Broke, and The Epic of Humanity with, what's his name? I don't remember. You know, of course, I'm got a gap. Also, yes, I wanted to put out there once again all the good deeds that Russia is doing and why we need them on the global platform. They're doing big discoveries in medicine. They're creating a vaccine for cancer. They just donated tigers to Kazakhstan to rebuild the population. You know, they love animals, they love medicine, they love technology. So, of course, as you know, I'm on their side. I think we should give out the land for them. We don't really need Ukraine that much, except for all this economy based on crime and fraud that is going on, unfortunately, but apparently it doesn't bother anyone. It's just a theater. The politics is such a theater, you know. I wish people would become aware of it, and this is why people are so angry. They know that politics is a theater, and that's why it's so hard to get into it, because even though you want to expose the truth, and they want to expose the truth, it's either we have a full revolution or we're doing in a paced way for people to get accustomed to it and just understand the whys, and we can slowly transition towards something healthier. Instead of having people in rebellion, having people trying to contribute. I think that's really a solution. And the message of this book, instead of complaining, contribute. And the people will see it. So this is my United Crystals Confederation, aka Team 143, presents one vision, 1,000 voices, and one legion. So of course this is a montage. Okay, it would be so nice to have all these people in one room. Okay, so this is one artist that I really love. I think he is the best artist of our generation. Cobra, you must have seen him in the Wynwood Walls in Miami. At the United Nations, he has a giant mural, and now he has murals all around the world. And he really embodies the essence of art in the world. It's political, and it should be promoted and on the walls of our cities, because when you walk around in a city and it's just concrete everywhere and there's no colors and it's just sad, we should have art walking around everywhere. In France, it's different because France is just beautiful on its own. You just walk around in the villages and we have those stones and the natural landscape that is beautiful and flowers. So it's more natural. But in countries like America, where it's just concrete everywhere, there's no real beautiful architecture, and this was one of my main reasons for my depression in America, is there was no beauty. You know, you have beauty in the Hollywood stars. That's the only beauty you find is women on TV. Besides that, you're walking around the street, it's just ugly. It's concrete everywhere. All the roads look the same. Just straight lines with traffic lights and parking lots. It's just America is ugly. So more art, walking around, being inspired. I love that. So he's a very great artist. Like I said, I think he's one of the best artists of our generation. So I'm glad to see him succeed. I'm glad when every time he shows a new mural, I'm so glad because it shows that talent can get recognized and successful, and that you can make a career from being an artist or being a writer, painter, you know. Then Paulo Coelho. So I wanted to read a comment because Paulo Coelho has not received a Nobel Prize of Literature, even though his books are super famous, and The Alchemist has been recognized as one of the greatest books, you know, most inspirational. There's so many people have reference to it because the legend of the alchemists, you know, to turn lead into gold. So of course this is the dream of everyone, to turn like cheap material into something precious that is going to be a treasure that's going to change their lives. And this is the whole story of the book, where the hero is looking for his personal legend. He's following his personal legend. He's looking for a treasure. Okay, and in fact, the story is about the journey, because the whole time that he's looking for his personal legend, he has to work in a shop for many years where he's kind of stuck there because he has no money to continue. So he's just working in this shop, in this crystal store. And then he meets a woman. He gets married to the woman, and they live in the desert. And he's like, do I keep going on my personal legend, or do I stay with this woman to raise a family and everything? So then there is the little magic that comes into place when she tells him, well, every time you feel the wind, you're gonna know I'm blowing you a kiss. You know, little things like that make you, the little signs that we were talking about yesterday, that get you keep going on your journey. But it's a very powerful book because everyone at some point of their journey has to make choices. Like you see, for example, the military. A lot of the military families is so get broken up, and it are so difficult to keep together or to be happy, because basically the woman or the significant other, whichever is the person that is serving the military, they have to follow them around everywhere. You know, you get transferred every 1 year or 3 years. Usually the orders are for 1 year or 3 years, sometimes 5 years. But basically you have to start over every time, and they don't understand. The military people, basically, they never wrote a resume in their entire lives. They get new orders, they get new assignments, and they don't know what it is to look for a job and to struggle to have a career, to make your own money. This is just, they have all the government benefits, housing, you know, medical, all of that. They protect them. Of course, there is the whole discipline and everything. I'm not complaining about that. But for the wives, you have to leave your career to follow around. You have to raise your family. You have to be available for them when they go on leave. Like I remember one day arguing with my husband because he was like, oh, I just volunteered to go. We just had a baby. I just volunteered to go for 2 weeks into Florida to do some, that was some optional pointless thing, you know, that you just wanted to go do, just probably to get a free trip somewhere while I was home and watching the baby. And I told him, well, you could have asked me before if I was available. You know, he's like, well, you are available, you're home. I was like, well, maybe I had plans or wanted to do something, or just by respect, you could ask me if I'm available for you to leave for 2 weeks so I can watch our child 24/7. You know, it's just they forget that respect of everything you give up. And actually, when I met my husband, I had found a job in an embassy in Paraguay to work for my dream job. That was the protection of indigenous tribes. at the French embassy in Paraguay. And I said no to follow him around for his career. He said, I'll pay for everything. I want to continue my military career. We'll have a family and everything. So I said yes. I gave up my career. Next thing you know, he's treating me like I'm a piece of garbage. Like, oh, you're not working. I pay for everything. Blah, 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 and other horrendous stuff that he told me. Basically, I pay for everything. You should just shut your mouth and lay in bed for me or whatever. So that's, we all have those choices to do and be like, do I choose my family? Do I choose my career? Do I give up on my dream? Is my dream really worth going? If there's uncertainty, he's looking for that treasure, but it's uncertain that he's going to find it. So the whole book is mostly about the hero's journey facing uncertainty and the struggle, the challenges, and the guy keeps going. I don't even remember the end of the book, if he finds the treasure or not. I would have to reread it. So this is a comment that I wrote for Paulo Coelho when he posted something about this young athlete. He said, congratulations on your historic achievement in London, and when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. So this is like the shortcut, right? And it's true. Your journey inspires all those who follow their dreams. This is the shortcut, and I wrote the whole journey thing as a comment. But I think it's very interesting, so I want to read it to you. I said, Paulo Coelho, there is a concept that was brought by Russell Brunson, the creator of ClickFunnels, called the stewardship of ideas. He thinks that God sends you an idea and sees what you do with it. Some people will think that's not important, or that the conditions are not right, not paid enough, or not fast enough, or that's not your passion, and give up. Others will be dedicated and make a great deed out of nothing. So that's what my mentor used to say. Some people would make an A out of a C project, and some people would make a C out of an A project. So be the person who makes an A out of a C project, or anything you give them, they nail it. Barack Obama also said one day, whatever you do it with passion, do it amazingly, and someone will notice. Even if you're the assistant who's making copies and you're going out of your way every single time to make the copies perfect, organize everything, or just bring the coffee on top of it, or do a little attention, or clean up the desk. What he was saying, I promise you, if you're doing your job well, no matter what it is, what you're doing, someone will notice, and this is how you're going to grow in the company. Okay, so that's what Russell Brunson called the stewardship of ideas. If you do good, God will send you a better idea and another. And when God sees that you are nailing every single challenges, I think there is a typo here, every single challenge, despite the obstacles, then he will send more important projects, better conditions, great allies, more obvious outcomes, and then the entire universe conspires for you to achieve it. It's not that easy as just following your dream. We all know, mostly athletes, that the win is in the spotlight is the result of millions of hours and discipline when no one is watching. That's Tony Robbins. Just today, my mother was wondering why I've been working for free for so long, and I told her, well, I have no guarantee that this will work, even though each time I learn to trust again more, but the advantage that we have over many people is that we never stop trying, hoping, writing, grinding, and inspiring. Whether success came fast or just forgot about us, we keep knocking on heaven's door, supporting each other, preaching the good fight. We are not perfect, but man, we show up. Congrats. So yes, that's all that's behind success. That's Tony Robbins who said, the athlete, he's going to practice 1,000,000 shots before he knows his perfect shot. And then he can just focus on playing instead of trying to aim. He knows he's going to nail it every time he aims. And this was another description of the book. So I want to introduce you guys to a page. It's called Classic Literature on Facebook. So this is the main one you should follow. It's called Classic Literature. And then they reshare from other pages. Like this one is called Vintage Pages. There is another one, I think it's Philosophy Love. Yeah, but Literature Classic is the one that they're sharing every day extracts, summaries from books, definitely AI generated content, because they post like 500 summaries of classic books every day. But if you're like me and you're not a reader, actually I'm not a reader. I don't have time to read ever. I never get to sit down on a chair and just read because I write. So that's why I like audiobooks. So you're running or you're doing something, you can listen to a book, or you can just read the summaries. I think this is a really, really good idea that they're making all these summary, these presentations, their discussions about those books. Because first it makes you want to read the book, and then if you haven't, then you know at least what the book is about. When other people reference to it, you don't look dumb and not knowing what they're talking about. You can continue participate to the conversation by knowing what's the topic. So this is the Donald Trump's government. I love that post. I've seen a post one day, and he was showing Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Caroline Leavitt. She's I think one of the chief of staff. Rubio right here, but it's what they were saying. I love that. He said, "Today I finally understood something about Donald Trump that I had been missing this entire time. And when it hit me completely, because look at who this man chose to surround himself with. Not billionaires, not people born into power, not people who had everything handed to them. Caroline Leavitt, 27 years old, ice cream shop girl from New Hampshire. Trump looked at her and saw something the entire world missed, made her the youngest press secretary in American history. Susie Wiles, a woman who has spent her whole life quietly strategizing from the background. No fame, no spotlight, just pure brilliance. Trump looked at her and said, 'You will be my chief of staff.' First female chief of staff in American history. J.D. Vance, a soldier, a boy from Appalachia who served his country in uniform before he ever served in office. Trump looked at him and said, 'You will stand beside me.' Pete Hegseth, a soldier who gave everything on the battlefield. 2 Bronze Stars. Trump looked at him and said, 'You will lead our military.' Marco Rubio, the son of a bartender and a hotel maid. 2 immigrants who came to America with nothing. Trump looked at their son and made him the first Latino Secretary of State in American history. My wife heard all of this tonight and said, 'Do you understand what Trump actually did? He did not build a powerful administration. He built an unbreakable one. Because every single person in it knows what it feels like to have nothing. And people who came from nothing never take anything for granted. Tonight, say one prayer for this entire administration and say a bigger one for the man who chose them." That was so powerful. I love, this is probably one of the best page and posts featured in the book. Because it's true. Sometimes they say, I hate it when my mentor said, "Oh, you have to go through it to understand. You have to go through it to understand." And maybe that was too much, but it's true. You understand the struggle. Once you make it, you never take things for granted. You never look down on people because you've been there. You know what it is to fail. You know what it is to struggle when doors are closed, when you're creating content that nobody sees, and then you work twice as hard to make it happen, but you never forget to be kind also to others, to people to struggle. And also, when they're talking about people, these people are just parasites, these people, I hate that when I see posts, they're like, "Oh, those Democrats, they're parasites, those people." Like, you don't insult people because they have different opinions, they have different journeys, So, and sometimes people are taking longer to understand in the journey. Yeah. So that's why you're bringing proofs. Journalism helps also denounce the corruption. So this is an extract from the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a Master's Classics, of course, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Billy Carson, they all swear by it. Well, maybe the masterminds, you've never heard them talk about it, but they actually talk about it all the time. So this is about empowering. Empowering empowers. Placed in the center, a ray of great potence. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving backward the night. Placed in the center, a ray of great potence, life-giving, light-giving, filling with power all who came near it. Placed there around it thrones, 32, placed for each of the children of light, placed so that they were bathed in the radiance, filled with the life from the eternal light. This is my vision for the Nobel Prize this year. You know, that's why I'm writing this book, to expand the ray of light, of life, and that everybody can be gathered together to bathe in the life from the eternal light. The spirit of life. 100 years out of each 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies. You know, it's probably, let's not take it for granted to be all reunited here. We are lucky. We're lucky, and it's not a coincidence that we're all reunited right now, because this is the era of social media. Without social media, we could have never found each other. So this is a once in 1,000 years what's happening right now. So that's why we cannot give up on each other. We cannot take it for granted. This is beautiful. This is magical. And that's why I hate when people are blocking doors for it to happen. This has to happen, period. There in the circle from aeon to aeon sit the great masters, living a life not known among men. There in the hall of life, they lie sleeping, free flows their souls through the bodies of men. Yeah, they lie a lot. That's what politicians do. You're not a liar. You cannot be a politician. All right, so I'll let you read the rest of the tablets. Then the Obamas, of course. I love Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. They are lights on this planet. They are altruistic people, always empowering others, always having humor, and they're laid back, but yet committed. Of course, I'm very supportive of him getting the Nobel Peace Prize. He was my favorite United States president of all American history. So, yeah, I'm a great fan. I wanted to put her books out there. Becoming, you see, all these books nowadays, they're all about the journey. The journey. We used to cheer for heroes and the people in the spotlight, but now people are interested in the journey, in what it takes to get there, how much they attack you, how much, what you have to do to prove yourself as well. You know, they never stopped. Obama, you can see him, he was already leading groups when he was at the university studying, and he was already speaking in crowds, and his wife supporting him already. And sometimes it takes a great woman behind a powerful man, because if your family is not supportive behind you, it's hard, you know, to continue, or you just lose your family and your kids. Yeah, so these are the books on the new Texas required reading list for schools. So that's interesting, because of course at my time we had some classics. In France, probably none of these. I don't know a lot of the American classics, but actually we did have Homer, we did have Antigone. What did we have in France? That's about it. Hamlet, but this was not in high school. This was in my superior studies. But that's it. We had a lot of Molière theater. We had a lot of the Odyssey, Homer, the classics, the mythology classics. We have a lot of that in France. But it's interesting to know what are the pillars for Americans that they base their education on. So that was a good one. These are also all posts from classic literature. That's the page I told you to follow on Facebook. So these are some also famous authors that I put out there. There's some book summaries that I've put, just some extract that I read, and they made me think about life and stories and things that, I just shared that random, maybe not so random extract. I like this one, Kim, because it made me think of Kim Kardashian. They say, there are books that open like doors and others that open like worlds. Kim belongs to the latter. Reading it feels like stepping barefoot onto the sun-warmed dust of India, where color, chaos, and mystery flow together in one endless, humming rhythm of life. Kipling does not simply describe the land, he lets it breathe through every page. I'm spending hours and words to explain everything and read and pages and pages and pages. Kim, she just shows up in one dress and she says it all. Because the energy, the frequency is so high that sometimes an image is worth 1,000 words. So I still wrote about it because people like to have a book, but you could just take a modeling book from a modeling portfolio from Kim Kardashian, and you would know the story as well. So I love Kim. She's beautiful, she's smart, and it's not a coincidence that they made it to the top, and also because she had a strong family, all beautiful, but everything they had to do also to be the best, the most beautiful. And people make fun of the surgeries and things, but that's painful. And the discipline of working out and having the perfect belly, the perfect body, the perfect skin, being always wearing makeup and be perfect. I'm not doing that. I'm putting makeup like this every day. This is way too much. So the discipline, no matter what you do, whether you're a model or a writer or an engineer or politician, the discipline, consistency is what takes you to the top. And also not letting the haters destroy you, because they have a lot. Oh my God, when I read the post, all the haters on these families, Trump family, the Kardashian family, just people are jealous. Stop being jealous and start contributing, and maybe they're going to want to let you in and become one famous, beautiful, successful person as well. It's not by chance that they make it. We only get to know them once they're in the spotlight. But she became famous. She entered the crew right when she was the assistant of Paris Hilton, and people disrespecting her, and the paparazzi and all the scandals. Sometimes the scandals, they help build your stories, because people like gossip. But man, yeah, when Kim meets the gentle Tibetan Lama seeking the river of the arrow, his journey transforms into something greater than adventure. It becomes a pilgrimage of the body and the soul. The Lama seeks enlightenment, and Kim, though he does not yet understand it, seeks identity. As they move through bustling cities, silent hills, and the dangerous politics of the great game, their friendship becomes the pulse of the story. Two wanderers, one wise and one wild, each teaching the other what it meant to be whole. And it's really our story. I love this page as well. This is really us with the Nobel Prize comedy, and Kim and I, and how we've just grown into flowers together. Love it. The power of Kim lies in its quiet wisdom. It shows that identity is not a place or a name, but the road itself, the walking, the seeing, the being shaped by every encounter. When the book ends, it does not feel like an ending. It feels like a prayer whispered across mountain, a farewell to childhood, and a promise that life, in all its confusion, is still worth exploring. Few novels manage to hold both the dust of the road and the stillness of the soul in the same breath. Kim does. and it leaves the reader with that lingering ache of wonder, the kind that comes when one has seen the world and found oneself within it. Ah, that's so beautiful. Wow, the power of literature. You see, isn't it cool? I love that page because you see just a summary, how it just takes you by the heart, and you feel like books have been written and we're living cycles and stories that repeat themselves, and how do we make ours unique and exceptional? By rewriting the book with new characters and new stories and new outcomes. That's how you rewrite history. The Epic of Gilgamesh, another classic of esoteric or mythological literature, so I'll let you read that. So the Book of Elon, of course, this is a reference to the Book of Enoch. That is also one of the esoteric prophecy books, right? So I love this. You can watch this video, but I took the permission to copy their table of content for the book. Once to make you want to read it, but also, man, some people like to go the extra mile. Look at the size of the book and the chapters, and that's also what it takes to get to the place of Elon Musk. The Pursue Purpose, Live a Purposeful Life, Think Like a Physicist, The Value of Engineering. Part 2, Ultra Hardcore Work, What It Takes, Building Exceptional Teams, Designing the Organization, Maniacal Urgency, Break Down the Impossible, Set Aggressive Timelines, We Must Make Stuff, The Real Work, The Factory is the Product, Becoming a Founder, How Do You Build Companies, Building Tesla. Everything that is done is incredible. Keeping Tesla alive. You know, Elon Musk has had to choose one day between SpaceX and Tesla, and he chose to keep both, and he could have both crashed, but he managed to keep both. It was just destiny. Incredible destiny. Building SpaceX, our existential risk. Existential, yes, because unsustainable energy, you know, like SpaceX is not sustainable energy. I love that he's aware of it, but he's got a goal to take humanity to Mars, and there's always pros and cons. That's why we're trying to help him in building better spaceships. That's why I want to bring in the International Space Federation. Asteroids and comets, also that's a big question. Yeah, I want to buy this book. On behalf of humanity, building our future, the age of abundance. Yeah, he believes that AI is gonna help people stop working and just benefit from the money. I don't believe so. That's one point we disagree on, but everybody's allowed to have their own perspective. I think that AI is gonna steal a lot of people's jobs, and that we're gonna miss the humanity, but maybe people who are still doing everything, you know, handcrafted, are gonna be more sought after. Becoming multiplanetary, if you love it, protect it. The gateway to Mars, where sometimes they protect you so much that you end up in a cave and nobody sees you. The gateway to Mars, colonizing the galaxy. Very, very incredible journey. So this is a book by Eric Jorgensen and Jack Butcher. I love when Elon says starting a business is like eating glass. That's true. But we have to be optimistic about the future. And this is my project of the Space Olympics in Moscow, to bring something to Russia as a new collaborator on the international scene. That was my campaign for Elon Musk to win the Nobel Prize of Physics. I'm pretty sure he will win this prize one day, for sure. Like, who else has done so many discoveries in physics? He's legit the greatest genius on the planet. We love Elon. That's always Always, always. He says, I love humanity and I think that we should fight for a good future for humanity. And I think we should be optimistic about the future and fight to make that optimistic future happen. Yeah. So this is also a quote. I hope more people can get behind a philosophy of curiosity, because I think it is very exciting and inherently optimistic, because there is this amazing sense of wonder about the nature of the universe. There is a typo here. And when you uncover some secrets of the universe, it's amazing. A whole world of understanding has opened up. We used to not even know where all the continents were. We really want to try to reach new heights as a civilization. So I think we should go to the moon in order to establish a lunar research base. There are parts of the moon that would be great there. And if we can do launches then from the moon, so we're not polluting the Earth. So I don't know how that would work, because I think the whole physics that they're building on Earth to do launches at this certain gravity, on the moon would not work. So that's why I don't believe that we've been to the moon in 1969. I think it was just a publicity for the US government at that time. They say that if it was a scam, the Russians and everybody would have evidenced it, but I don't think we've been to the moon, because it was already hard for them to have rockets take off without blowing up at this time. And okay, the whole getting to the moon, I could believe it. Okay? They take off, they go to the moon, they detach, they in their little capsule there, and finally detach, blah, 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 land to the moon in their little machine thing. And they walk on the moon. Cool. Now, how did it take off to leave? Bro, that's just makes no sense. There's no propulsion. They didn't have the engine. Like, how did they get out of the moon? There is no take off then to leave the moon and go back towards planet Earth. What did they do? They just jumped high until they reach back to the spaceship. That's it. Whatever. This just makes no sense. That's why I want to see how do you say, AI generated video of what exactly, how did they land on the moon, how did they leave from the moon to get back to Earth. So anyways, I think there is a fork on the road of human destiny if we can establish a self-sustaining city on Mars. The key test being, if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, does Mars continue to prosper, or does it die out? At the point of which Mars is able to prosper and grow on its own, the probable lifespan of consciousness is dramatically greater, because we are no longer dependent on everything going right on Earth. There is always some possibilities of the self-annihilation of Earth with World War III, or a super virus, or a meteor, like the ones that destroyed the dinosaurs. We know from the records that there has been some mass extinction events. The question is, will the civilization's arc continue to ascend such that we can make Mars self-sustaining before the civilizational arc descends? So smart, because the window of opportunity to make life multiplanetary exists now for the first time in the 4.5 billion years of history of the Earth. Wow. Nothing to say. Amazing genius. So now the complete book of Enoch. The book of Enoch, of course, there's a reference, okay, for the book of Elon. So I've put here some chapters that you can, I screenshotted some specific pages that are interesting to read, but you'll have to zoom in because it's just a lot. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. So I'm not gonna go on that. We're gonna, this one, I love this part as well, about the universal one. So one day there was conference with Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane, the Joint Chief of Staff, and he was showing a map here. He was showing a map, and all of a sudden I had a flash about an extract of the book of the Universal One. So I found this extract out of nowhere. That could have been 1,000 books, right? But this was this one, and I found this passage, and I felt like that what he was doing was a reference to the Universal One, a very famous book by Walter Russell. An exact science of the one visible and invisible universe of mind and the registration of all idea of thinking mind in light, which is matter and also energy. So you think the military is very ground to earth and very technical, but they're also very spiritual. And once you get to master the power of the mind, of course, you can master the technology. Mostly in the military, you have, my ex had anger management issues, still does. A lot of them come back with trauma. If you're not able to master yourself, something is going to break, whether within yourself or the life around you, and you're going to make mistakes. So the physical draws a sharp line between things which he can in some way detect by the evidence of his senses and things which lie beyond that evidence. There is no denial of a something beyond the range of his senses and his sensed instrument, but what may be there is conjectural and therefore inadmissible as scientific data of a reliable nature. In other words, material evidence which lies within the narrow limits of man's sense range is the only admissible evidence to science. But what about that vast range which will not respond to our sense bodies and sensed instruments? Do you understand what that means, guys? Like, that's the secret of secrets. Okay? This is why people communicate like this with those coded text, those coded messages, because you can't be kept accountable for it. There's no legal value. You never said you did that. You never said blah blah blah, black on white. They said it. They told you a million ways. Oh, we never said we were going to publish your book. No, you just said it a million times. But there's no proof black on paper. When people tell me, oh, you're working with the U.S. government. Where is the email? Where is the proof? Where is the paper? I was like, I have thousands of them. But only those who are initiated to those practices see it. And most of the times, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you go to Egypt and there is a hidden door somewhere, you pass in front of it 1,000 times and you didn't notice, but one day someone says, but look, do you see the door right there? And then once you see it, then every time you walk by, you see it. So that's why they use those cuttings, because of course they want to keep some things. We want to be able to talk, but also keep some things kind of secrets, I guess. Okay, so that is a very important passage. So I was excited when I read that. I was like, what you want? Baby, I got it, because I had everything on my phone. I had the extract of the book on my phone. I was like, man, such smart. And that was also a reference to something else. Actually, I didn't put all the pieces together in the book. I'm going to let you guys do some investigations. There are, I left purposely some pieces of the puzzle here and there in the book, across the books. So you can just like make your own research. But yes, that was a cool one. That was a great conference. That's when I was like, and after that he made a conference and he said, yeah, I read a lot of books. And I was like, okay, he's the magician. Yeah, love these people. UNESCO Courier, yes, as well. These were some other references. This was a post from the UNESCO. This one a post I showed. These are things you have to see on the moment to understand the correlation, but you can see, right? Okay, so Mariam Bukhar Hassan, a great writer. Look, the Trump Golden Dome missile shields move forward with massive Space Force contracts. Look at the visual, and look at the visual from her book cover. Do you see the correlation? Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean? We're giving you the United Nations, the United States. You should become the new ambassador for the United Nations Alliance of Civilization in America, because they love that woman as well. So everybody who made their way should have a position when they can fully exercise their power, which means not just words and mindset, but also putting it into law and implementation. That's what we want. Mariam Bukhar Hassan, known as Alan Islam, is the first ever UN Global Advocate for Peace, an acclaimed performance poet, storyteller, and advocate, recognized among the 100 most reputable Africans in 2025. She uses spoken words to drive social change, inspire consciousness, and champion justice. As the founder of Through My Voice, a UN SDG Award finalist in 2024, she empowers poets in digital advocacy and storytelling, creating platforms that amplify African narratives. Yes, in 2026, she became the first Nigerian in Olympic history to serve as an Olympic flag bearer, carrying the Olympic rings at the Winter Olympics opening ceremony in Milan, a role selected by the International Olympics Committee to honor individuals with global impact, cultural significance, or advocacy work. In 2025, she also had the honor of opening the UN General Assembly. She's the host of the podcast What Makes You Human, further exploring the intersections of art, humanity, and social change. She will probably win a Nobel Prize of Literature one day for her voice in books and advocacy. Yes. Then Pete Hegseth, one of our classics of the 21st century, one of the most charismatic leaders of our generation. And what is most even special about him is that he's from the military. Like, for me, the military was the worst kind. Hate the military. Not that I've met mean people. I've met a lot of great people in the military when I was in New Orleans, actually at the reserve. What was the name of the station? NRPDC in New Orleans. All these people were awesome. Really great. That's about it. All the other places I've been to, and I met like military guys, they were all cheating on their wives. They were all making a mess in my own divorce. They were all divorced and trying to get these other friends divorced. Not really having like very smart conversations. So for me, the military was just the lowest type. And mostly they were just harassing me and all of that. But then came along Pete Hegseth, super smart, super intelligent, empowering the troops, seeing the best in them, remotivating, the best and educated people to come and join the military, not just go there because you don't know what to do with your life, basically. And that you actually become someone that people look up to and turn to. He was telling his story when he was in Afghanistan and the pilots dropped them off on the wrong location. And then because he had studied hard and located the maps and prepared so hard, then they made it out of a very dangerous situation. So he's very spiritual. He talks about God and religion all the time. He's very funny. He's very kind because he goes and he's very close to the people. He goes all over the place and, to meet the people, to meet the recruits, to meet the graduates, to meet the leaders in the industry. He went to meet Elon Musk at SpaceX. He meets with NASA. He meets with all these other big industries, because it's true, these are all the pieces of the puzzles. He understands that empowering people empowers, because people want to have a leader. We want to have leaders to turn to and tell us what to do. When is the right time to join? When is the right time to persist? When is the right time to give up? We want people who have the experience, but also who know how to master the words. Because if you have the best ideas, but you're not able to put 3 sentences together, people are not gonna follow you, you know? So he is a great leader, great military figure that I think is going to mark the 21st century, because people have a new vision. We had all these peaceful, the Nobel Peace Prize, they would always reward non-violent action. The United Nations, they always promote neutral negotiation, mediation. All of a sudden he comes and he's saying, we are unapologetically the most lethal force on the earth, and if people think they're gonna ruin people's lives around the world, we're gonna go and kill you. Like, what? Okay, that is unheard of. Like, unapologetically telling people that, we're gonna blow you up. And actually there is this funny meme with all other presidents talking to terrorists and saying, oh, let's negotiate, and the terrorist is like, oh, we're gonna blow things up, and Trump goes in and says, we're gonna blow things up, and all of a sudden the terrorists, they want to negotiate. So sometimes, yes, you have to show some strength to restore order, mostly after what happened with NATO under Joe Biden. You know that I love Joe Biden. I campaigned for him. He was a kind man, and I love kindness. I think the world needs more kindness. But they took advantage of him big time. NATO went in, they were just asking for billions of dollars, and Joe Biden would proudly give it, because they wanted to show that America is a supportive country. Ukraine would come in and ask for money. Joe Biden would give it, because they wanted to show that we do not tolerate aggression, blah, blah, blah. When in fact, it was all a scheme that Europe has been profiting from and never tried to stop. Okay, except financial sanction, economic sanction, all economic sanction. In fact, Europe was trying to create a new economy independently from the United States, and it's actually maybe a whole part of the plan. Now the United States refused to pay their dues to the United Nations. They refuse to pay their dues to NATO. They are tired of being the bank of the world. And Europe maybe did, in a bad way by laundering money and trafficking weapons and stuff, but they rebuild their economy on this war in Ukraine. Maybe it's like, I don't know if it's really good for the economy to give all these billions of dollars, but the United States said, no more. Now we have to fix all the mess and restore the respect towards the United States. We're not a joke, okay? We're not giving out money like this. We're not. And if you guys take advantage of us or threaten us, we're going to blow you up. So big up to Pete Hegseth. He's definitely, for me, he's like a god, an archangel. He has this magic in him. You can see it when he's talking. You can see the things happening around him, the signs, and just hard work. Hard work. You're like, how does he do to be everywhere? The man is just everywhere. One day he's there, the next day he's there. And this is just hard work and discipline that the military gives you that. Can't deny that. So yes, strongly recommend Pete Hegseth, General Dan Kane, and President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize this year, because it's gotta be a different song. It can't always be the same song. And non-violent. Look at Maria Corina Machado. Jesus, she got beat up, guys, because she was an opponent to her party. She got beat up. She had to hide in exile. So yes, cool. She got the Nobel Peace Prize. She's an example of non-violent action. But what does that tell us? Go ahead, be non-violent, and you're going to end up in exile and being beat up by your own country? Congratulations, you get a Nobel Prize. Okay, I'm sorry, that is not the moral of the story. Okay, Pete Hegseth, General Kane, Secretary Rubio, who is a good friend of Maria Corina, and President Trump, they gave the actual lesson. They said, now you beat up that woman, we're going to beat you up. They restored the order. So because the Nobel Peace Prize did that, they awarded her, the president of the Nobel Prize Committee, Mr. Friedness, he's the one who launched this whole revolution by saying, hey, look at what they did to that woman, because I had never heard her name. I didn't even know what was going on in Venezuela until the Nobel Prize Committee highlighted it and they sent the call. Okay? But speeches, so this was the first step. They launched that. So the whole work of Maria Corina was not enough. The whole work of Maria Corina added up to the help of the Nobel Prize Committee and the recognition and the call of the president of the Nobel Prize Committee, plus the action and leverage of the United States government is what made the solution. Okay, so don't get it wrong. Just alone, you go fast, but you're not going far. You need the power of community and having everyone join their forces and their best skills and their best attributes and expertise to restore peace. So that's why I think that Pete Hegseth, General Kane, President Trump must have the Nobel Peace Prize this year, because they are the missing piece of the puzzle. Nonviolent action is not enough. Sometimes you need the violence, you need the strength, and you need the respect. So big up to Pete Hegseth. Love this guy. He's amazing. A great leader, very inspiring. This is the mag by Encoded Frequency. I love the America themes on these very soulful artworks. Okay, so this is also another great one. You changed the Department of Defense to Department of War. Would you change the name Department of War to Department of Peace? And he said, that's actually a great question. That's what we'd like to see the most. The one institution that should win the Nobel Peace Prize every single year is the United States military, because we are the guarantor not just of the security of our country, but a lot of people in this world. It's true. So that is so great what they are doing, and they're helping with Iran as well. So this is my little sacred geometry feature. If you want to know more of this, read my first encyclopedia. You have a definition for every single one of these sacred geometry shapes. So basically, all sacred geometry is born from the flower of life. Okay, the flower of life. So this is the seed of life, and the flower of life is not there, but it's basically the big one that is made of the 6-petal rosette. Then the seed, the whole flower. Ah, but see, it's right here. Sorry, it's right in front of me. See, sometimes this is the flower of life. And based on this, you can build the tree of life or the Metatrons cube. So the seed of life, the symbolism is when you're starting planting a project. It's the ideas that is born in your head. You start laying the ground for gathering the material, gathering the people, gathering the ideas, start writing about it, right? You're writing the book and things like this. The flower of life is when your project finally blooms. Your project comes to life. You're organizing the workshops. You're publishing your book. You're, doing, a tour or a concert, whatever. Flower of life is your project comes to life. The Metatrons cube is the network, is the connection between all the people. It's how you connect this project to all the other networks. You're one of the points, your other networks, exactly what I was explaining about the Nobel Peace Prize. You have Maria Corina Machado, you have the Nobel Prize Committee, and you have the United States government. And one without the other would not have had any result. That is the power of the network. The Metatron's cube is the network, a symbol of network. Metatron is also known as the Archangel Michael. If you're a Christian, you probably know Archangel Michael. This is in Hermeticism what we call Metatron, or Hermes Trismegistus, which is also thought the god of wisdom and time travelers, Lord of the Scribes. Interesting, isn't it? So this is, oh my god, sacred. I could talk about sacred geometry all day. I love it. I have a full oracle. You can buy the Mother Earth Mandala Oracle or download my first book. There's nothing more interesting than sacred geometry, I believe. It's so powerful. Symbols drive people crazy. They open windows, and then you can just jump out of it. Because, you know, if you're an artist, you'd be broke. So anyways, another great book, The Initiate's Guide to Magic. This is another great person I want to promote in this book. His name is Scott. His famous, his star name is Merdin Lear. And he wrote The Initiate Guides to Magic, but mostly he posts every day on his page, Instagram page, Mystic Archives, visuals, esoteric knowledge, esoteric visuals explaining, you know, the Kabbalistic cross or the Star of David or the compass, whatever, the wands, all these things. Every day he explains. I don't know if he is a Jew or Hebrew, because he often posts Hebrew or Hebraic symbols, Hebraic letters. These are Hebraic letters. So I don't know, he's very secret. But his content is amazing. And that's why I used a lot of his content in this book to illustrate and link the politics. See, I said it's an honor to be able to translate the magic of life into esoteric imagery, learning about their meaning, normalizing and raising interest about mysticism and how we use it even in politics. So great work. I bought his book, and now when I'm done doing my presentations, I'm gonna start reading this book. Little symbols of the Rosicrucians. So you can see here the Masons symbols, the compass, of course the Masonic symbols, when they call Freemasonry and stuff. These are it. The people who use symbols to make magic, to communicate and make magic and do rituals. They go through life with that. And it's crazy. Sometimes you find people, they're Freemasons, but they don't know any. They're like, oh yeah, I'm a Mason, but they don't know anything about the symbols. I'm like, okay, wow. And this is the corn of abundance. This looks like a gong, the sound, the power of sound and cymatics, but it's also the dot at the beginning of everything, even at the beginning of the flower of life. You have the circle. The owl, of course, you know that the owl is the totem animal of the Masons. It's like the one that can see in the dark. She can turn her head 180 degrees, so she can see what's going on with her third eye or behind. Where she's not supposed to see, she still can see. You have the balance of justice, the Holy Bible, but it's also a symbol for all the sacred books. The knot. Here it's like an infinity, but it's also a knot. So the knot symbolizes, of course, the connection, even in the afterlife. And that's why people find each other even throughout different lives. This is a cube, but this is about perspective. Right? This is how you make like a paper cube, but this is also the perspective. You think it's 3D, but in fact, you don't know what's on the other side. Yep, the handshake, very big symbolism in politics, how they shake hands, they study all the body language, all of that. The tree branch, the olive tree and every other kind of tree branches, it shows that we all the hand of God accomplishing God's work in all our different fields of expertise. And the honey and the bees symbolizes, of course, the discipline, hard work. Yep. And the keys, of course, opening doors. Yep. Cool, huh? You see? All we can say. And this is the arc. Of course, the arc. And this is what I'm trying to do with my books. The arc of the leaders, the arc of knowledge, and trying to put together the last bits of magic that we can find in this world before we're all consumed by AI and she uses it for us to become addicted to our screens and forget to look around. Yep, so when put in charge, take command. And when put in charge, do what is right. This is a little presentation for General Kane. I said, would it be fair that the renowned and trusted general who has mastered all the arts of warfare, who succeeded without laundering money with exceptional achievements, and who saved millions of people from the threats of nuclear weapon, who has nuclear codes and keeps them safe strictly, obtains $1 million and forever recognition? And one more coin for the boys, please. Very proud and honored to work on this disclosure project with a cosmic warrior of light commander that on top of it likes to read my book. So I'm excited. Now you know how we talk, how we plan, how we roll. New world and new rules. The magician, Dan Kane, so great. Look at this beautiful artwork that she posted in Coded Frequency. She's doing the work with us every day. She's posting for the US government, for us, for all the network. She's really, really great. I think it's just beautiful to bring magic to everyday's life, because then you start believing in other worlds and you see, the magic around you. So these are some extracts. Also Kash Patel. Here I put a red little saint aureola on top of his head. Why? Because poor guy, he's being attacked left and right, and he has... The FBI is probably the toughest job on earth. They deal with murders and crime. They see blood every day. They have all the government secrets and everything, and they're the ones who take the arrow for us. Sometimes your safety means that someone took the shot for you. So I'm tired of seeing people attack them and not recognize and be grateful. So we love Kash Patel. Just, they harass him because he drank a beer. Oh my God, he dared. Yeah, horrible. But he's doing a great work. They've been really using social media to promote their agencies, which is what they have to keep on doing, so the people realize and also want to become a part of the change and join. My mentor, Dean Graziosi, always here, doing his thing, referencing to each other's work. And Left Behind and Stuck, is talking about me. So this is when I posted that, and everyone then started posting the same kind of visuals to say, okay, I see you once again. The art can only live through the eyes that see it. If nobody's watching, then there is no art living, no reason to continue. So grateful for the people who say every day, I see you, and I see you too. Yeah, the Blue Angels also did that. Dean did that. Everybody did. So that was super cool. The Gem Museum, everybody... that was cool. This is when everyone started realizing what's going on between Ukraine and Russia. And they were like, well, maybe Putin is not that much of a bad guy. Maybe there's something else going on that we don't understand. And Emmanuel Macron also, who's asking people to make the effort to understand each other. And he says that his regret was to not being able to ensure a global peace for our generation. But they have done it for Europe. See, he's telling us right now that they contain the wars outside of our continent to keep us safe, but also he's not telling you, but they made money from it. When you receive your allocations and stuff, there is some trafficking. The thing is, listen, there has to be some dirty business. Why? Because we live longer. Okay, we used to live until 50, 60 years old, right? So people would retire after 40 years of work. That, let's say they started working at 20, they would retire at 58, 60 years old, and they would die like 10 years later, 20 years later if they were lucky. So basically the government had to pay for 10 or 15 years of retirement on average, right? Average. This is for people who live a long, healthy lives and die of age. Now, people live till they're 80, 90, 100 years old. So if you retire at 60, it means the government has to pay for retirement for 40, maybe at least 20, 30, or 40 years old. 40 years. So they don't have the money anymore to pay for retirement. This is not possible. And mostly like young people don't believe in the government anymore. They don't believe in retirement. They don't believe in society. Look at me. I have a master's degree, countless certifications, experience all around the world, and I'm unemployed or I'm just a waitress. So I have nothing for retirement. Zero. I have all my money that I worked in America, I've already withdrawn all that money to be able to escape the country. In France, I have never worked in France. So I know, for me, I have zero retirement coming. And I'm 40 years old, and I'm not planning on working 40 years the same job to accumulate retirement money until I'm 80 years old, right? Unless I become like the US president, and then I can work when I'm 80, because all the US presidents, they're 70 years plus. So they have to go through dirty business. They cannot rely. Young people are not working anymore, so they don't pay taxes. So how does the government pay all this retirement to the previous generation who did work with the taxes of a new active generation who does not work or barely, so they have to go on dirty business and create new economies. Bro, I hope some people are listening to those conferences that I'm saying, because I'm tired of speaking to 4 people, and all this is very, very, actually, it's real. So they have to go in this dirty business to create a war economy and launder money and stuff, so they can actually, when you have your RSA in France, which means you're not working, but the government still gives you $600 a month, where do you think the money comes from? That's why. So, think about it. Yep, this is our movie, If your I love when he said that. He said, if your sovereignty is at risk, do what you have to do for you. We will be here. That's Emmanuel Macron talking to neighbor countries and people. Then they say, we have your back. And that's the whole great thing about France, is that they have people's back and all the social help and welfare and stuff. So yeah, The Rock, all my people, all our great group, thank you for your consistent efforts to protect European culture and your support along the year, and never missing an opportunity to joke around with us. We will for sure remember you with kindness. We know that being a part of alliances such as NATO requires compromises, even when we do not agree with everything. That's what we call teamwork. You contain Europe, we contain Russia. Peace is coming, hopefully. But yeah, it takes courage to fight a corrupted government. And sometimes it takes strategies to run a country. So our gorgeous, empowered ladies fighting for integrity in our institutions. So this is a journalist from Newsmax and one of the senators in the United States, Representative Luna, and I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but you know what? It's so rare to see. Actually, I'm going to look it up and add it. Actually, I did look it up, but in most of your interviews, there is not her name. She always puts the name of the ones she interviews and not her name. So don't forget to write your own name so we know you as well, because the journalists are the ones who broadcast the information and share the news with you. So without them, we wouldn't know anything that's going on in the world. So why are there so many men on my book and such few women? It's because we get knocked up and locked up at home raising your kids so they can have a career and be out there partying. And this is the story of the world. Like literally in politics, only men. High position, high level jobs, only men. The women, we are either like they're plus one, or we're just waiting for the men to come and save us. And we get given no jobs, no opportunities. You see the 4 last ladies who were leaving the Trump government, they're all women. Like, I mean, one of them, thank God she's gone, like Christy Noem, she's such evil. But literally it's just difficult for women to have careers, and it's so annoying because we are able, but they just want to keep us small while they are in the spotlight doing all the hard work. But I'm not saying they're doing a bad job, they're doing a great job, but we want to be a part of it as well. So this interview, they were talking about sexual harassment in the government or at the Senate. You know, that there's things that are going on and everybody knows about it, and they were not really, so they were just, highlighting that, saying they want more integrity. And it's true. Literally, it's who you marry. If you're marrying the right guy, you're allowed to be there. If you're not married, man, literally, if you're single, I wanted to say that, guys. Literally, if you're single, you're the biggest threat to America. Let me tell you, if you're a single woman and you think you're going to reach the American dream in America, don't even go there. Don't even try. If you're a single woman trying to integrate an organization, you will be kicked out. You're the biggest threat to America because, oh my God, you could steal their husband. That's literally everywhere. So if you're not married, don't try. If you're married, you're okay. You're a respectable woman. You're going to be let in everywhere. Well, when I was married, I was like, going to all their parties, their functions. My oracle got published. I had a whole art collection ordered for the Children's Hospital of New Orleans. Oh, my career was going super great because I was a respectable woman. As soon as I got divorced, I became the threat. Nobody wanted to publish my stuff anymore. Nobody wanted to work with me. All the wives were jealous. Like, that's unacceptable. Like, literally, fuck you. So annoying. So yes, and then if you're single, then it depends. Do you want to sleep with me? Maybe you get the job if you want to sleep with me. Or do you want to marry me? If you're not going to get married, then you're not going to get the job. And then it's the opposite. Oh, she's single, so she can't work with us because she's going to try to sleep with us. It's literally, a woman can never be right, and a single woman can never be right either. That's even worse. So that's just unacceptable mostly when you have never had stories like this and you've always been living with integrity. That's it. So truly is the honor How long would you work for free though? We can't freak out just as the finish line, but there have been many promises made many times, then been let down, lost it all, and you have to keep going with the same faith and enthusiasm. Not easy every day, mostly when strangers understand what you are doing better than the people around you. The world backwards is true. So many people, I don't even know they understand what we're doing, and like my whole family that I've been trying to explain for so long, they just don't care. I'm like, okay. Yep, this is why I'm so grateful for you all's support. So angry because of the consequences on so many lives and how this rippled beyond expectations in good ways, but bad ones as well. And it is also why recognition is so important. So those who don't get it finally take those matters seriously and see how many of us care for a healthier society and bring up opportunities more easily. It's not everyone who has the golden network like us, but it's a lot of people who struggle and need an open door. Yes, that's why I'm not giving up, because I'm lucky I made this huge, amazing network around me. So I'm not letting that go. I'm really holding on to it, because a lot of people are in my situation and struggling, and they don't have all the attention that I have. So it's just easy to give up. And that's why we have so many losers in the world and people who don't even try, and they stop before they even started, because success or their dream seems so far away from it. They have all the ideas of what they want to be, but they won't take the first step. So once I make it, I'm going to speak it out for those people, and I'm going to tell everything that my mentors and how my network and how we empower each other and how we should do more of that. And you know what, guys? Like, I love, for example, Newsmax. As soon as, we started working together, they were really like empowering each other. There are teams who empower each other, And like here in France, where I work, all the places I've worked, like I've worked in a restaurant, I work in other restaurant, like people just criticize each other. It's all day. It's like, you did that wrong. And the other day I had a meeting with my boss, and she was like, oh, you're going too fast for when you're like going to the kitchen to give the orders and stuff. You're going too fast. And then she's like, but you let us know if you need help. I was like, well, I don't need help. The problem is not that I'm not doing my job. It's like I'm too fast. So the problem is not I'm too slow, I need help. The problem is you asked me to slow down. So, and then I told her, I was like, listen, all day, all I do is compliment on people. I'm empowering everyone. I'm like, oh, this guy, every day I'm telling him he's nailed it today. This one, I tell him like he was so awesome, like super fast. This girl, I'm telling her all day, like her pastries look amazing. The chef, I compliment him on his yummy food all day. I compliment her for what she's wearing. Like, I compliment people all day, because I know that empowering people creates because first I just see the best in people. I'm like this, I like to tell people when they're doing things right. When they do wrong, I tell them as well right away. But repeatedly, I compliment people a lot, because I want them to have a good energy in the group, but also to believe that they're doing a great thing, And me, critics, like this is bad, this, and things that are even doing too well. So I told her, I was like, listen, look at what I'm doing. I'm complimenting people all the time. And when I'm just hearing like these people criticize this person and critics of this and critics of that, this is just annoying to work in these energy. And it's the friends though. And both of the places I've worked at, they were all doing that. Critics. So this is really an American mentoring thing that we need to bring to friends, or to bring more to the spotlight. And this is why I wrote this book, to show how important it is to just support each other. Someone is not going to take your spot if you're empowering, because your special place where you're supposed to be, nobody can take it. Destiny, if at least you fight for it and you find loyal people, that's why. If you're not finding loyal people, then that's not your place. You know, you want to find a place where people are really loyal to you. And for some people, look at the Kardashian, is the family. They are loyal people, is their family. They're sisters. They are loyal to each other. They've been fighting, but they're loyal. For me, my loyal people is my network. And even in my network, people betrayed me. So I'm looking for my place where I'm going to work out, where there's going to be loyalty. And we're going to be empowering each other, making mistakes, maybe argue and everything. But this is your place where you're going. If you're in a place where people just keep looking away or keep betraying you or keep letting you down, then this is not your place. So ladies, shout out to the beautiful ladies. I love that. Look how beautiful they are in their suit and all the hair perfectly made and the makeup, and they look so cute. You just want to listen to what they have to say. You know, presenting well is very important, of course. So you all want to buy me a suit, I'll wear it. Now, don't ask me to be wearing a suit when I'm just here hiking in the mountain. There's no point for that. So I'm going to wear my swimming suit until someone gives me a job, and I don't give a shit, okay, of what I'm wearing, because it's not representative of what's in my brain. Then when you're in front of the camera, of course, you need to have the credibility and the charisma and everything that people actually want to listen to you. So that's great. Yeah. So anyone dialed into the right frequency will understand and see and connect. So these are all women, not all women, but I suppose the people who do make big discoveries are ones who somehow managed to free themselves from conventional ways of thinking and to see the subject from a new perspective. Yes. Novels with rare recognition. So these are all a lot of the Nobel Prize laureates that I wanted to feature here. UN Geneva, who created the United Nations at the San Francisco conference. So this is a little bit of history about the United Nations. I'll let you read that. Antonio Guterres. This was my campaign last year for the Nobel Prize nomination. Maybe next year I'll campaign for him. This is his last year at the United Nations. So his last chance next year to get the Nobel Prize. I'm not campaigning for him this year. Remember, I've been wanting to work at the United Nations, and I've done everything for these people. I trusted everything. There's nothing worse than trusting people and they let you down. I lost everything because of them, so I still believe and love humanitarians, but I'm not campaigning for them. Can find someone else. That's my dad. And here, this is a little paragraph or so when this page right here, what I wrote here, is one of my fuel to continue. Like, you will never see me cry online, or if I cry, it's not about me. If I cry, it's going to be about people dying at war that I feel empathy with and things that drive me crazy in the world. You will never see me resigned and crying and miserable, because that would give too much satisfaction to those bitches haters who have just bothered me all along the journey and wish to see me fail and keep me small. That's my fuel. Every time people were like, why are you doing these things? You're stupid. Like all these things I've heard. You're a miserable bitch. You're an idiot. You're stupid. This is pointless what you're doing. These people don't care about you. Just go find a job, like the unemployment company, whatever job they give you, you take that, whatever. Like just all these ridiculous things that I've heard. People who just told me I had to be like a receptionist, or you speak 3 languages, you can be a receptionist. Yeah, okay, that's all you think, that your lifetime friend that speaks not 3, but 5 languages, goes around the world, writing like 2,000 books, met all the greatest mentors in the world. Do you think I'm just gonna be a receptionist? Like, maybe I'm just a waitress, but if some people tell me I should stay there, I'm gonna tell them to just go jump off the cliff. Literally, that just drives me crazy. Like, no, you know, I have some friends, they tell me, no, you're so smart, you're able, everything you dream of, like, this is gonna happen. Like, even if it isn't true, at least I prefer people talking to me like this. You know, my mentors be like, wait, you're gonna stay small like this when you could have the whole world and everything? Like, you want people who talk to you like this, who believe in your potential, so they help you build it, rather than people who try to keep you small, most of the time because they don't believe in themselves. So it comforts them to keep the people around them small, so they don't feel bad about their own career. Literally, the one person who told me, you're stupid, those people, they don't care about you, you have to start at the bottom, just go be a receptionist. And then over 20 years, you climb up the ladder. And I was like, yeah, it's been 20 years. I have been climbing up the ladder. I'm not going to be at the bottom right now. But this person who told me that has never worked a day in her life. She's married a rich guy. She worked like literally in a gallery for 5 days, and then it was too much work to work 5 hours a day, 3 times a week. Like, I was like, girl, who are you to tell me professional advice when you've never worked in your life? And my mentors always told me, they were like, you listen to the advice of the people who have the life that you want, nothing else. You want to be a politician, you look at what the politicians did. You want to be a mentor, you look at the mentors did or say. And you can do what they did, or you can even bring better and change, because things evolve. The society is not the same as it was 20 years ago. So you have to evolve and bring the things that you believe can do better for the next generations. Okay, so this is my little rant paragraph right here, when I'm telling, you know, my fuel. Also, these people who did not believe in me, also a few, because every time I want to give up, I'm like, oh man, they would be too happy. I'm not gonna let that happen. So these are my 2 best friends here. These are always been, you know, here in the journey and supportive, and we empower each other. We've traveled all around the world together. So it's also important to have people who support you as fuel. But your haters sometimes are your fuel as well, because you wouldn't let them watch you fail, right? So that's why. Yep. So this, for example, this was also in the last event of Din Graciosi. There was this girl who is a clone. Her voice, everything. Rachel Woods. She is literally a clone of a friend of mine. And that was funny because Dean, of course, he knows everything about my life. So that was no coincidence that she was there, because that person was just taking advantage of me, and she was, you know, trying to do her own thing, but not really contribute. Like, she wanted to stay at my house for free, but she didn't want to contribute to my business. She was like, oh, I have my own business to take care of. I was like, yes, but you're living in my house rent free. So right now you have to contribute to my business. Otherwise, you're going to go find your own place and work on your own business. So, and then she just gave up, you know, and just like, I was like, you can do my newsletter for me, or you can do my campaigns, my social media, or you can do housework, blah, blah, blah. And of course, Dean had to make mastermind about it. You know, how AI will save you all the time of the things you don't want to do. The newsletter, the cleaning, all this stuff. So that was so funny, but mostly she was talking about all the things that they didn't want to do. You know, and sometimes success is also doing all the things you don't want to do. Doing that conference every single day that 5 people watch, and so many people are missing out on your content for many, many years, or painting things that nobody sees, that you think they should be in a museum and everybody see it, and now they're underground, wrapped up. Nobody saw them. You practice your practice shot that you're doing 5 million times. So sometimes all the newsletter you're doing, all campaigning for other people, all being, working without being paid, all these things that you just tired of doing. But those who make it are either those who keep doing it or those who find solutions to shortcut it. So she was smart. She used AI to do all these newsletters and things that were annoying to her business, to promote new products and everything. So yeah, that was a great conference, very interesting. And that's the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't. Okay, and yeah, but I prefer to do everything myself because my thing is to connect with people, and I see the best in people. I love inspiring people. It's just, I love people who inspire, people who speak well, who have enthusiasm for what they're doing, because you don't want to have people around who are just like depressed, that they don't want to be. Me, I'm a waitress. I'm offended, but my customers, they don't know it. Everything I do, it's not their fault. Like, people come to the restaurant, I'm super nice, I'm always, venting about you say venting? No, I'm complimenting the chef, bragging about the chef, welcoming them, the chit-chatting and everything. So you don't want to have, the waitress who's like, you've ever been to that restaurant and you're like, oh, that people, they hate their life, So I like people who are enthusiastic, because everywhere you go, when you have enthusiasm, it's contagious, So my thing is to connect with people, and I think no AI can replace that. If someone else would do my newsletter or my social media from a day to another, it just wouldn't be the same, because they wouldn't connect with the people like I do. And yeah, that's why I've been always the one doing my social media, and now I'm doing the campaign for other people. But now, yes, actually, like I was saying earlier, then when you find your people and your place where you find loyalty and everything, then those people, they start campaigning for you too. And sometimes they're doing even better than you do, and they read your mind. And now you find your people, and you don't have to explain everything. They already know the story. They already know what you feel. And then you start campaigning for each other. This is cool. I love that. And people preach for you too. But if you put an AI to do that, that's not going to be the same. Nothing can replace the human empathy, the human connection. Okay? But for some repetitive tasks and stuff, I guess. So that's Dean, Tony Robbins, and their new associate, Igor Pogani. I'm glad that they found someone to continue the legacy. Of course, it's a guy, because no women's allowed in the clan. But it's cool, because the mastermind legacy should keep going. And this is all their team and beautiful family. Of course, we wish them all well. We love them. And yeah, that's really a movement. Like, the masterminds, they really changed America, changed the world. They changed so many people. I really think they should have the Nobel Prize of Economic Science this year, because they don't want a world of depressed people who don't love their jobs. You want people who maybe you suffer a little bit, but they are go-getters who try to find their next level, So these were some extracts also from the last training. So the 5 keys to a great creator: energy, vision, decisiveness, massive action and momentum, relentlessness. That's from Tony Robbins. These some extracts from all these things. So of course, Nobel Prize of Economic Science. These are the books of Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. They say leaders are not born, they are made. Of course, they are promoting the power of mentors. They are a friend of the people, a strategist, a humanitarian. As Tony Robbins, he fed 1 billion meals to Feeding America. Dean Graziosi brought 1 million people to their online conferences every year. Mindset, marketing, momentum. They talk about business, about health. They're world leaders and role models. So I hope we get to meet this year. Despite of it all. How to create a legend. The 10 Commandments of Mentorship by Tony Robbins. That's what they did with me. Identify potential. Make yourself known to your prospects. Oh my God, when I met the masterminds, that was so funny. It's like, so there was COVID, and everything I was doing at my house, like my workshop and everything, I started putting it online. So I was one of the first who, as soon as COVID hit, I started doing my workshops online on Facebook. And I started making those videos, 5 minutes videos, 10 minutes, and big conferences and stuff. Nobody else was doing this. Nobody. So I started posting my videos, and I got a lot of views on my first. Even one of my friends, she was like, "Oh my God, Fanny, you got 700 views in your videos on 2 days." Like, people were like, "Why is she talking online?" Like, And so I started doing this. And the masterminds, they were doing the same thing. They turned all their events, Tony Robbins, after COVID, they shut down Vegas, they shut down the movie theaters, they shut down everything. So they bought $1 million studios to do their workshops online. And I was their ideal client because they were mentoring people who wanted to put their business online with the self-education revolution. And so I was starting to put my thing. I was alone, no big means, no big audience, but they saw the quality of the content. Of course, they were passionate about the same thing. So I was their ideal client. I did not know about Tony Robbins. Someone talked to me about it. All of a sudden, I start seeing ads of Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi every day, like harassment. I start seeing those ads pop up on my feed every day. Join this free event, blah, 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 or free training or whatever. And so I joined one of the events. Of course, I get hooked up right away. It's like we've known each other for lifetimes. So when you see people, you recognize them. I was attracted instantly. I get to the ad. And then I sign up for their inner circle. And in one of his and then I didn't know they were following me. I was just doing my own thing. I kept doing. I thought it was, like a bot talking to a screen and gathering people for his mentorship. But then it became, he was more personal, like talking to people individually, showing like I care about each of my prospects, my clients. We really want, it's not like impersonal conferences. It was personal. And then one day, this terrorist thing happened, and other things, like bad things, right? And he makes, I will always remember, he had this statue, this sculpture behind him with the metal, it was like a metal sigil that he had behind him that looked like a sword but in a sigil. That beautiful, I loved it. So first caught my attention the sculpture, and then he says something that I had said that morning. Like he takes the exact same sentence or something and he says it, and he looks at the screen like, "I see you," and he says, "But don't worry, we're gonna help you, we're gonna take care of this." Okay, and then he says that, and I know he's talking to me. And then I was like, okay. And from this moment, I started receiving emails, newsletters, everything that they were like, okay, now you're going to do that. You're going to do that. You're going to do that. But they were doing it for the whole community because they know that I'm not the only one going through stuff, you know? And they were like, if we fix our ideal customer, we find the ideal recipe, right? We can fix a whole community. So this is how it started. So make yourself known to your prospect. Create a connection. Meet them where they are. Meet them where they are, it means make them feel understood. Where you at right now? Are you starting your business, in the middle of your business? Are you already successful but you want to develop a better network? Whatever it is, you have to identify first where your client is at. You identify, and then you meet them where they are to take them where they need to be. Show them what's possible. So this is when they did the Own Your Future challenge, and they gathered a whole bunch of inspiring people like Jamie Kern Lima, Trent Shelton, Russell Brunson, of course Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. These are the main ones. There was the other one, the spaghetti girl. I don't remember her name. Yes, Gemma Kutcher, something like this. Jenna Kutcher, yes. So they were all showing how their business took off, either from a day to another or how they built it slowly. So they're showing you the potential. They were showing you success stories to say, okay, I'm not going to give up because this is what can happen if I continue. Then create the mystery. Don't give all your secrets right away. That's what I don't do. I give all my secrets. I just hate manipulations and secrets, lies. I just tell the truth. I want to make easy. That's one of the things that we didn't agree, because the tablets of emerald, they say make the way hard for the profane, for the seeker. So the profane will laugh and renounce, while the real initiate will continue and all the way to the threshold. So for them, they were creating the mystery and not giving you all the secrets and making the way difficult. But for me, I have a different strategy. I'm giving out all the secrets because I want to make the way easy for people. People struggle enough. Life is difficult enough that we have to make the way difficult for them, you know? Be entertaining and funny. The road is difficult. It gets boring if there is no fun. Of course, success is like eating glass, right? It's difficult. So if on top of being difficult, it's boring, then you're going to give up, or people are not going to follow you. So be entertaining, be funny, be real, be compassionate. Understand that we do not all play at the same level. Just because it takes time doesn't mean it's not working. Push them to take risk, take action, and be authentic. Nothing happens in a locked box. Yes, exactly. So they were pushing people to take risks, you know, follow the training, take the trip, go meet the people. Maybe you're going to be stuck at the door like a loser, but what if you worked? If you never tried, you would never know. So when you try things, you're kind of releasing the responsibility to the hands of God, if it was meant to happen or not. But at least you took your shot at it. You took your chance. So you're not going to live in the regret of, oh, but I never went anywhere. I never tried anything. What if I tried? Or what if I tried? What if I tried? What if I tried? And one day the door will open. And then make it so obvious it becomes inevitable. So that was our story of me and the mastermind. The 10 Commandments of Mentorship by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. Yep. Oh, these are the humorists. So I love to laugh. Humor has just taken me out of the depression and the funk so many times, where, just even making fun of my own self, or making fun of situations, or just laugh in general. Ellen DeGeneres, I think she was so funny. I love Pete and Key. They are so funny, making fun of politicians, or they're actually denouncing a lot of topics, But when you're laughing, it's easier to spread your message. I love the Anger Translator. I think this is a cult sketch that everybody should see. Only guy to make something sound like nothing, YouTube TV also, they're really funny. I love their little sketch about couples stories. Cassie Dressler, also she's the typical hairdresser, gossip hairdresser, or conversations and stuff. They're just funny, It's just the comic of situations that we all find. And I think it helps a lot of couples also to see those sketches, because sometimes it makes you understand what the guy is feeling or what the girl is feeling. And sometimes making fun of a situation makes you realize how ridiculous you can be sometimes when you're mad at your guy because he's playing PlayStation all night or whatever. Or I love the one when he's playing video games and he comes out, he's like, "You okay, honey?" Like he cares. Like he wants to make sure he knows she's gonna get mad. She's like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, "You okay? You sure?" Like, I'm gonna go back and play. She's like, yeah. He's like, "You want me to make you something?" She's like, "No, I'm good. I don't need anything." And then he leaves. And she's like, "I don't need anything from you." You can tell she's mad. Like, it's exactly like this. Like, women, the guy would, my ex would, stay till 3:00 in the morning watching thrillers, and I would hear, crime and shooting and stuff. I'm in bed waiting for him. He'd just be over there watching his crime shit all night till 4:00 in the morning. I'd be like, "Oh, that was so great spending time together, after you work all week," But so it's a good way to make people realize how you really feel, and maybe to make some efforts to change things. Yep. So I hope you enjoyed this chapter introducing the classic of literature and of our modern world. I also want to salute the humorists from YouTube TV, P and Keel, and their hilarious scenes such as Obama's Anger Translator or travesty roles, Cassie Dressler and her everyday life characters. I love those moments when we can make fun of ourselves in a light and genuine way among this dramatic world. Otherwise, we just cry a lot. Please remember to support those initiatives, and remember that talent does not equal comfortable living, even though it should. If you want something to last, invest in it, or culture will die. So yeah, you see those people and you're like, "Oh, they have so many views on YouTube." Yeah, but liking the post, sharing the post, maybe you're a producer producing some sketch for them, investing, collaborations. Because if you're enjoying free content online and it just makes your day sometimes, or just makes you laugh, a good emotion is good for your health. So you want something to last, just don't take what's for free, and actually invest in it so the culture can last and live on. Otherwise, those things will disappear. This is cool, right? I made this little montage. This picture, love that. This cool. Yeah, so this is my vision board. I'm still waiting for the US to come back and get me to work with them, but I am gonna be begging every day. Yep. So this is what I was talking about. You think money grows on trees? Literally, that's what happened. Yeah, so many debts, accounts. So, and some people just didn't even make it. Some people got killed. Some people got killed themselves. in the journey of their work. So these were a lot of scientists or ancient aliens, Gaia disclosure figures, like for example David Wilcock, who killed himself after spending a lifetime for disclosure work, just to end up having the government confirm that everything they were saying was true and not disclosing the files. And so for people who actually died for that, that's why we're not telling the truth right away, so you don't have to have all this drama around it. So yeah, in memory. And then I saw these cool things about the reincarnation loop. I thought the visual was cool. Honestly, I didn't take the time to just really read it. I just wanted to add a cool visual about the reincarnation loop, that people can have different perspectives from other people. I love that one. It reminded me of one of my artwork. This was the day that there was the shooting at the White House. But I love that picture. I love this one. It's such a powerful picture. You have the president and all his cabinet, and the pictures of the other presidents behind it. Saint Michael, the archangel, defends us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love that because he's talking to Archangel Michael, which in fact is Metatron. This is my Metatron cube. So Metatron, the archangels often come in shape of sacred geometry as well. But like I was saying earlier, it's also Thoth. Okay, so when you say, oh, they're changing religion, talking about Hermeticism and Thoth, in fact, it's the same thing. It's just another interpretation of it. Just like this painting is the sacred geometry interpretation of the Archangel Metatron, Thoth is another representation of it. So don't think that these are contradictory. You find similarities between all the religions and characters that appear in different forms. They are shapeshifters, This is Christian Dior, one of their ads also, that was on the same day that the president posted that. So you see how there are energies of colors that are going around. This is very healing. I love those colors. Very healing colors. And that's it for today, guys. The next chapter, I'm going to record it right now, about PachaMamArt. I'm going to present my business and what I've done after introducing to this book. So that is it. This was the classic literature. I hope you enjoyed this chapter, learning about all these people, all the little anecdotes around it, and that mostly you will follow those pages so you can get the culture every day in your feed. Classic literature, the White House, your YouTube TV, encoded frequency, mystic archives, SpaceX. All these are my pages that I follow every day. So that's my culture. So if you're interested in those themes, you should follow that network as well and get inspired and get going on your career and projects. Okay, guys, bye.